In this quick video, I'll be talking about the high-level API design of FizzBuzz Pro. As you may know, FizzBuzz Pro is a web application that you can list algorithm design and competitive programming related technical interview questions, along with study guides and strategies and other learning resources. And in this video, I will assume that we only have this v1/list API endpoint to get those questions and list them. And of course, there will be other API endpoints in the actual production application, but this v1/list API is representative enough for the purposes of this video, so I'll stick with it for the time being. When the user queries the server by doing an HTTP GET request to API FizzBuzz Pro /questions/v1/list, there might be several things that can occur. We may have a server error, which when we get an error from the API, we are going to render a warning message on the UI and tell the user to try again later. And if there is no server error and our user is authenticated and also authorized to the system, so they have a valid JWT cookie, then they are going to get a list of questions as a JSON response to this list API request. And that response will be rendered in the user's dashboard on the application. And if the user is authenticated but they are not authorized to list the questions, that is to say, if they have not purchased a subscription yet, or their subscription might have expired, then they are going to see a subscribe to see the list of questions kind of a button on their dashboard. And the user might not be authenticated at all yet. And if that's the case, then we have to redirect them to the login screen. Or the user might be blocked by the system, in which case, for security reasons, we are again going to redirect them to the login screen. And here on the login page, it's nothing fancy actually. It's a typical login form. The user will log into the system by providing their email and password and tapping this login button, which will send a post request to API FizzBuzz Pro /IDM/v1/login, where IDM stands for Identity Manager. And based on the response of the post request, again, there are a bunch of cases that can happen. There might be a general server error, which we are going to notify the user again and tell them to try logging into the system a few moments later. And another case is the user's email or password might mismatch, which we are going to display a message on the screen and ask the user for their credentials again. And there might not be any user on the system at all. So this email might not be correlated with a user that's registered on the system, which we are still going to show this very same email password doesn't match message, both for the simplicity of the implementation and also for security reasons, so that an attacker cannot guess whether an email exists on the system based on the kind of error message that they get from these login API requests. But overall, the login form is basically it, and this forgot password link will be used to reset the user's password, and we'll come to that in a later video. And this sign-up link will redirect the user to a sign-up form. And also we'll get to this sign-up form soon. But one important thing is, if the user is already authenticated and they navigate to this login page, and by the same token, if the user is authenticated and they navigate to a sign-up page, then we are going to redirect them back to their dashboard. So if the user is already logged in, they won't see this login page at all until they log out from the system. Or similarly, if the user is already logged in, they are not going to see a sign-up form. They need to log out from the system to be able to go to the sign-up form. And the sign-up form is as simple as it gets. We'll ask the user's email, and maybe we'll ask for the user's name too, so that we can address them properly in the email. And then we are going to send them a verification link to their email. And again, for security reasons, we'll display the same success message regardless of the user's status, because we don't want to give any extra information to an attacker for them to deduce whether this user's email exists in the system or not. They will see the same, we have sent an account activation instruction to your email, go check your email kind of a message in all of the cases. And when the user taps the activation link that we sent to their email, they will be able to fill in their details like their full name and password, and maybe some other details as well based on what we want from them. And when the user verifies their email and creates their account by filling in this form, they'll be able to see their dashboard. And I'll skip the details of the dashboard design since it will highly likely change in the future when we get there. But at a very high level, the dashboard will have two states. In one of the states, if the user is subscribed, they will be able to see the content that they are subscribed to. And if the user is not subscribed yet, they are going to see a subscribe to see the content button, which will essentially be a Stripe subscription form. And for now, that's pretty much it. Yes, it's a lot to implement, and we are going to implement everything that you see here and more bit by bit, API endpoint by API endpoint, screen by screen, one API at a time. And trust me, it will be a really fun learning experience. But as far as this high-level initial system design diagrams are concerned, that's all there is to it. And until next time, may the source be with you.